The noblest form of revenge is refusing to become the mirror of the one who caused you pain. This ancient teaching quietly whispers, the moves of those who have sworn to destroy you are, more often than not, the product of cold calculation. They desire your balance to shatter, your willpower to crack, and to bring you down from your most vulnerable point. They hope you will act without thinking, show weakness, or descend into their same darkness. But what if you carved an entirely different path? Imagine an ancient warrior who, instead of joining the opponent's game and depleting their spiritual reserves, chooses to remain still, to observe, and to respond by carefully weighing every move. This warrior knows that victory is not won by how many blows you land, but by maintaining your composure and self-control while subtly rendering your opponent helpless. In the same way, when we dismiss the attacks directed at us in everyday life, the provocateur comes face to face with someone who has become immune to their provocations, and sinks into a deep frustration upon realizing that all their efforts have fallen into the void. This is the very essence of ancient wisdom, to focus only on what is within our grasp, namely our inner reactions, our perspective, and our stance, and to release everything beyond our control with serenity. On this journey, leaning on the principles of ancient wisdom, we will explore practical ways for you to respond to those who hurt you. Prepare to fundamentally transform the way you face injustice by embracing strategies that truly work and simultaneously elevate your character. When you internalize these techniques, you will not only leave those who intended to wound you feeling helpless, but you will also fortify your own spiritual strength with every storm you overcome. Forget petty revenge. This journey offers you something far more satisfying, becoming the person your haters could never even dream of being. Now, let us take the first step. 1. Ignore and do not react. One of the most devastating responses you can give to those who hurt you is to completely disregard them and offer no reaction whatsoever. The moment you choose silence in the face of provocations and attacks, you weave an invisible shield against the aggressor. You declare that you have not permitted them to open any breach in your inner world. Ignoring someone who has hurt you is, in truth, the most elegant form of revenge. The reason is this: those who deliberately inflict harm upon you almost always want to watch the destruction their actions create. They await a reaction, a scream, a moment of breaking. When you offer no response at all, you strip that power from their hands and preserve your dignity unshaken. Moreover, this stance carries a deep alignment with the teachings of ancient wisdom, which counsel us to focus on what is within our dominion and release the rest. You cannot determine how others will behave, but by disregarding them, you choose to become the guardian of your own inner balance and peace. Rather than plunging into conflicts that could escalate and open the door to far greater pain, choosing to remain silent allows you to turn toward what truly matters: your own well-being and spiritual evolution. This act of non-reaction can be regarded as a silent victory, in which your resilience and inner power resonate far louder than any impulsive word or reckless action. 2. Use kindness as a shield. One of the sharpest weapons for dealing with this situation is responding to those who wound you with grace. Being kind does not merely throw the aggressor's mind into disarray, it also dissolves the impact of the wound. When you embrace kindness as a deliberate choice, you demonstrate your emotional maturity. You rise above negativity and resentment, proving that momentary emotional storms do not govern you. When you respond with grace, you neutralize every piece of ammunition in the hands of the person who hurt you. The expected reaction is usually an outburst of anger or a harsh confrontation. By responding with kindness instead, you shatter this toxic cycle. This stance can lay the groundwork for the aggressor to take stock of their own actions, and in some cases, to question their behavior entirely. The effect of kindness upon you is equally profound. Choosing civility even in moments of being wounded nourishes inner tranquility and self-respect. You prove to yourself that no matter how harsh external conditions become, you can hold the reins of your reactions and act in faithfulness to your principles. Responding with grace does not mean tolerating others treating you poorly. It is a method of drawing your boundaries without fueling the conflict. You can be both resolute and tender-spirited at once. You can articulate clearly that you will not tolerate disrespect, yet consciously choose not to retaliate with aggression. This approach is in perfect harmony with ancient teachings that exalt maintaining composure and sound judgment in the face of hardship. By responding with kindness, you establish complete sovereignty over your emotions and actions, which is one of the most fundamental pillars of ancient wisdom. 3. Seek justice, not revenge. When someone wounds you, the first impulse within you may be retaliation. Yet there exists a far more effective and constructive path of response: turning toward justice. Rather than taking matters into your own hands, choosing to resolve the issue through fair and legitimate channels is a concrete expression of maturity and respect for the rule of law. The pursuit of justice means turning to the proper authorities, legal mechanisms, or institutional processes to bring the matter to resolution. Depending on the severity of the issue, this may encompass filing a formal complaint, requesting mediation, or consulting with a legal advisor. This path does not merely open the door to an impartial resolution, it also shields you, like armor, from the potential negative repercussions that personal revenge could bring. For example, if you have been targeted by a slander campaign in your workplace, rather than confronting the aggressor head-on, meticulously documenting the evidence and escalating the matter to human resources, and if necessary, to the legal system, would be a far more prudent course of action. This not only preserves your integrity, it also makes it possible for the aggressor to face appropriate consequences grounded in laws and institutional policies. Choosing justice over retaliation aligns with the ancient sages' teachings on self-discipline and reason. Those ancient teachers counseled that rather than becoming enslaved to destructive emotions such as anger or the desire for vengeance, we must act under the guidance of reason and virtue. The pursuit of justice is an act of discipline and wisdom that focuses on resolving the matter on moral and balanced ground. Furthermore, by turning toward justice, you help build a more equitable and safer space for everyone around you. When people know that inappropriate behavior will be addressed within a fair and legal framework, the likelihood of such behavior being deterred in the future is significantly higher. 4. Draw your boundaries with clear language. Expressing your boundaries in definitive and unambiguous terms is a declaration to the world that you will not tolerate disrespect and that you place genuine value on your emotional well-being. Setting and voicing these boundaries is a tangible manifestation of the respect you hold for your own essence, one of the most effective shields for protecting yourself from harmful behavior. The moment you establish your boundaries, you illuminate for the other person what is acceptable and what will never be tolerated in your relationship. By explicitly stating which actions and words you will not endure, you help build a barrier against future wounds. For example, if someone repeatedly makes belittling remarks about you, it is vitally important to state with a resolute stance, "It is not possible for me to accept being spoken to in this manner." Communicating your boundaries in a clear yet respectful tone, without resorting to rudeness or aggression, is entirely possible. You can be assertive without losing your composure or your grace. Saying, "When you behave this way, I feel devalued, and I expect this to come to an end," is an example of drawing your boundaries both transparently and directly. Beyond protecting your own well-being, setting clear boundaries also teaches people how to respect you. More often than not, people test our boundaries to see how far they can push. When you are consistent and unwavering in enforcing your boundaries, you prove that you are absolutely serious about how you expect to be treated. The gaze of ancient wisdom serves as a guide here as well. Those old teachers believed in the importance of preserving dignity and inner tranquility in the face of hardship. Setting boundaries is a hallmark of caring for yourself and refusing to allow others to poison your spiritual climate, one of the most noble ways of safeguarding that dignity. 5. Steer toward solutions, not problems. An effective way to respond to those who wound you is to redirect the conversation toward concrete and actionable solutions, rather than remaining fixated on the injustice that occurred. When you focus on solutions, you escape the downward spiral of anger and resentment and take the initiative to resolve the situation constructively. When someone hurts you, it is entirely human to feel frustrated and to want to discuss what happened over and over again. However, dwelling excessively on the problem can intensify negative emotions and block any genuine progress. Instead, trying to get to the root of the issue and exploring avenues for resolution can transform a dark moment into an opportunity for growth and learning. For instance, if a colleague made an aggressive remark, rather than exploding in anger or obsessing over what was said, you could address the situation by asking, "What can we do together to make sure this doesn't happen again?" Or, "How can we deepen our communication to prevent misunderstandings in the future?" This kind of approach not only demonstrates maturity and self-control, it also clearly reveals that you are wholeheartedly committed to creating a more harmonious and productive environment. This solution-oriented stance is in complete alignment with ancient teachings that emphasize the value of holding the reins of our reactions and focusing on what we can transform. Those old sages believed that by channeling our energy into constructive actions, we could preserve our inner peace and elevate our well-being. Moreover, this approach helps fundamentally transform the dynamic of the relationship by showing that you are more interested in resolving the problem than in perpetuating the conflict. 6. Use humor as a shield. Responding to the other person with a witty and elegant remark can melt the iceberg of tension. It can demonstrate that you do not take the attack seriously and that you are not someone easily shaken. Humor possesses the power to transform the entire dynamics of an interaction. It turns a moment of confrontation into a far more manageable and lighter scene. When you respond with humor, you break the spiral of negativity that the other person has been carefully trying to construct. More often than not, those who wound you expect a reaction of anger or devastation. When you respond with a playful demeanor, you throw the aggressor's mind into disarray and evaporate the impact of the attack. This attitude can even lead the person to question their own actions and to realize how utterly meaningless their attempts to wound you truly are. Furthermore, using humor as a tool signals a high level of emotional intelligence. It means that you can maintain your command over your emotions and consciously choose a response that not only preserves your own inner tranquility but can also diffuse a potentially explosive moment. Humor is a powerful instrument for drawing your boundaries in a subtle and effective manner without resorting to direct confrontation. For example, if someone makes an unpleasant remark about you, saying, "Noted, I'll discuss that at length with my therapist in our next session," can elegantly show that you have no interest in taking the attack seriously. This attitude does not merely protect your self-confidence, it also announces that you possess sufficient courage and self-assurance to handle difficult moments with grace and composure. The gaze of ancient wisdom serves as a guide here as well, for those old teachers believed in the vital importance of maintaining composure in the face of adversity. Using humor is an elegant way of demonstrating that you are far above petty provocations and that you choose to respond in a manner that preserves your inner peace. 7. Build your resilience. To cultivate this vital skill, one must first dedicate oneself to the practice of self-reflection. Setting aside time to contemplate your experiences and emotions helps you understand how and why certain situations affect you. This understanding enables you to develop far more effective coping mechanisms. Additionally, keeping a positive perspective alive and striving to see challenges as opportunities for growth reinforces your capacity to cope with future trials. Weaving a support network of friends, family, or professionals is also a vital anchor point during difficult times. Talking with someone you trust sheds light on processing emotions and finding a way forward. Taking care of your physical and mental health by exercising, maintaining a balanced diet, and ensuring quality sleep lays the cornerstones of your resilience. Practices such as meditation and mindfulness can contribute to dissolving stress and sharpening mental clarity. Setting realistic goals grants you a sense of purpose and direction. Working toward these goals with small but determined steps nourishes your self-confidence and your endurance. Moreover, drawing lessons from experiences and viewing every hardship as a teacher makes it possible to carry this wisdom into the future. The gaze of ancient wisdom emphasizes the importance of accepting what we cannot change and focusing on controlling our reactions. Building resilience is a way of ingraining this philosophy into your soul, for it enables you to maintain your composure and stability even in the face of provocations and injustice. When you are resilient, attacks lose the power to shake you deeply. You recover more quickly and continue on your path without allowing the negativity of others to dictate your emotional landscape or your actions. This does not merely elevate your quality of life, it is also the manifestation of an inner power that inspires respect and admiration. 8. Step back from unnecessary confrontations. Acknowledging that stepping back from a situation with dignity is wiser than plunging into a conflict is one of the purest indicators of wisdom and self-control. In many situations, insisting on a confrontation only deepens the matter further. It inflates stress and toxic emotions without opening the door to any positive resolution. By choosing to withdraw from a potential clash, you prioritize your inner peace and emotional well-being. This does not mean that you accept the injustice or submit to the other person's inappropriate behavior. Instead, it means that you consciously choose not to feed negativity and hostility, and that you are reserving your energy for situations that truly carry significance. Staying away from unnecessary confrontations requires the ability to discern and a clear grasp of your priorities. Ask yourself, will this confrontation truly bring a resolution, or is it merely an impulsive reaction to being wounded? More often than not, when you contemplate the situation with composure, you will realize that the most fitting response is to walk away and not prolong the argument. Moreover, this approach carries a deep alignment with ancient principles that counsel the importance of remaining calm and level-headed in the face of hardship. Those old sages teach us to focus only on what is within our dominion, our own reactions and our stance, and to release things we cannot change, such as the behavior of others. When you withdraw from an unnecessary confrontation, you demonstrate emotional maturity and self-control. This does not merely preserve your inner tranquility, it also completely disarms the person who is expecting a harsh or aggressive response. Through an honorable retreat, you safeguard your integrity and prove that you are a soul not easily shaken by provocations. 9. Elevate yourself relentlessly. Dedicating yourself to developing your skills and abilities is the most powerful proof that the actions or words of others cannot affect you negatively. This does not merely strengthen you, it also declares to the world an unshakable message of resilience and determination. Whether through education, acquiring new skills, physical activities, or passionate pursuits, when you channel your energy into your personal evolution, you sculpt a more powerful and self-assured version of yourself. Focusing on personal growth transforms the wound into motivation. It converts what could have been a negative experience into the igniter of transformation. Furthermore, elevating yourself reveals that you never permit the dark attitudes of others to define who you are or how you feel. By concentrating on your own goals and aspirations, you build a sense of purpose and direction that transcends every attempt to drag you down. This act of self-elevation is a form of response that demonstrates you are untouchable against attempts to harm you, a silent yet striking answer. The roots of this approach extend into ancient teachings as well. By improving yourself, you exercise your control and begin weaving a life filled with excellence and virtue. For example, if someone hurls destructive criticism at your professional competencies, rather than allowing your spirit to be crushed, you can invest in courses, workshops, or projects that will deepen your skills. By reaching new levels of achievement and mastery, you prove to yourself and to those around you that you can overcome challenges and rise even stronger each time. 10. Reflect before you act. Pausing for a moment before responding prevents reactions that could drive the situation into an even deeper impasse. This approach nurtures composure and rationality, enabling you to choose the most fitting course of action based on sound judgment rather than the hurricane of momentary emotions. When someone hurts you, your instinctive reaction may be immediate and loaded with emotions such as anger, frustration, or sorrow. However, these impulsive responses most often make the situation even more intractable and can ignite far greater conflicts. By stopping to think, you grant yourself the opportunity to assess the situation with a clearer and more impartial eye. To put this reflection into practice, ask yourself these questions before responding. What is the purpose of my response? Will this resolve the problem or escalate the conflict? How can I express my emotions in a way that promotes resolution rather than creating more problems? These questions help keep your response on a constructive and effective course. The gaze of ancient wisdom is particularly illuminating in this context. Those old teachers counsel the importance of preserving serenity and emotional equilibrium in every situation. Reflecting deeply before taking action is one of the most concrete ways of applying this philosophy in everyday life. By doing so, you prevent momentary emotions from seizing dominion over your actions. For example, if someone insults you in a moment of rage, rather than immediately responding with a verbal counterattack, you can choose to take a deep breath, consider what you truly wish to communicate, and then speak in a calm yet resolute manner. This does not merely prevent the conflict from escalating, it also brings to light your maturity and your ability to maintain composure under pressure. Moreover, this approach opens the door to far healthier outcomes in the long run. Carefully weighed responses tend to be far more effective in resolving conflicts and preserving relationships than impulsive reactions. They clearly demonstrate that you value respectful communication and are committed to resolving misunderstandings in a civilized manner. We have reached the end of this journey, dear soul. I hope these ancient teachings have left a quiet yet profound resonance within you. When life brings you face to face with people who test you, allow these seeds of wisdom to guide you. If you have weathered similar storms and there have been moments where you found your own path, I hope you will share your experiences. Every shared story sheds light for another soul finding their way through the darkness. Until our next meeting, remain in peace and wisdom. Thank you for walking together.